Now, December 2nd is supposed to be the deadline for the government's 2023 budget. However, at the National Assembly, the two main parties are yet to come to an agreement just one day ahead of the deadline. While this isn't a surprise because the budget bill is usually not passed within the permitted time frame, the process of the two parties trying to come to a compromise can give insight into the current state of domestic politics. So to discuss this more, we have Professor Song Se-ryun from Kyung University Law School joining us from Frankfurt this morning. Thank you so much for joining us at such a late hour for you, Professor.
And no problem. Good to be here.
Now, if the National Assembly doesn't pass the budget by December 2nd, what happens? Is there a government shutdown like in the U.S.?
Well, as you correctly said, they rarely come to an agreement on a legally appointed hour. However, in Korean system of law, there's a contingency if they don't come to an agreement by December 2nd, and if they don't come to agreement at all until the new fiscal year starts. What they will relegate to is they'll be able to spend money just like last year, meaning that if any spending was legally mandated or permitted in a last year's budget, they can still do so. So what it means is that it's not going to be a shutdown, but they'll not be able to start any new projects, or they're not going to be able to expand on any policy aims. So it's going to be a very limited doing, and I don't think anybody wants that. Certainly not the public that is looking forward to a government working to beat the very bad economic prospects that we're facing. So in this sense, this not agreeing on this bill is one of the worst things that can happen to the Korean politics at this time of the year.
Right, and this is also the first budget bill for the Yoon Suk-yeol administration. But do we know what some of the obstacles are that are preventing the two parties from coming to an agreement on the bill?
Well, they have not been talking to each other. So there are over 100 projects that they have not really come to an agreement. But I think you can look to other factors. There was obviously bad blood between them, and the election, the presidential election I'm talking about, it was very, very close. And after that, Yoon Suk-yeol's government's approval rating is low. So I think that the opposition party, with a near supermajority at this point, is very emboldened to say that this current government is not doing well. So we're going to put on what our agenda is. Well, that sounds very strange, but because they are the ones that lost the presidential election, and this government, Yoon Suk-yeol government, should be allowed to at least put on their programs. But current state of Korean politics, it seems like the spirit of working together and agreeing on anything at this point is a very remote possibility, and that includes the budget bill, which they really need to talk at this point.
That's right, and this comes at a tough time, like you said before, that the country is, globally there's an economic fall, and a new budget would play a crucial role in kind of jumping back. But politically speaking, if the two can't come to an agreement, who would be at more of a disadvantage in terms of the public's view? The ruling PPP or the main opposition DP, which, like you said, holds the majority in the parliament?
Well, first off, people would not make any differentiation as to how things are going. They will just blame the government, and that government would include the National Assembly as well. So opposition party and the ruling party are both will be in a sort of a doghouse. But there is a difference in that the Yoon Suk-yeol's government is the executive government. So in the short term, people probably blame the president, and any sort of bad policies that are put on in this government would be blamed on the executive branch. But in the long run, I think the opposition party is at a greater risk at this point because they have a pretty comfortable majority, And when the general election comes, I think that people will make some determination as to whether it was a good idea to give them too much of a majority so that they can be a stumbling block for every step of the way that the current government does. After all, the presidential election was won by the PPP, and people's mandate is more on the Yoon Suk-yeol government at this point. So in that sense, if they fear the public's judgment in the general election and the political determination at all, it would be a good sense to come together as they supposed to and agree on the legislations and on the directions that the Korea needs to go. I mean, things are very tough security-wise, economy and diplomatic sense. So I think that everybody feels that the Korean government at this point should shape up and come to their senses, and it starts with working together on this critical bill.
That's right. I mean, those are some harsh words, but lawmakers will hopefully get your message. And thank you so much again for joining us, and I hope you have a great evening, Professor.
My pleasure. Thank you.